Now, just as a little bit of Akdama, a little bit of introduction, because really the story of this week's Parashat, Shelach Lecha, Hashem tells Moshe Rabbeinu to send for himself. We'll see what it means, send for yourself. Meraglim, spies to go see the land. But really this story has its beginning roots in the end of last week's Parashat. And anyone who came for Shabbat Minyan last Shabbat heard a little bit of the shiur in the beginning, but we're going to just, because Akdama, as introduction, we'll talk about what happened. At the end of last week's Parashat, we learned about Miriam, Moshe Rabbeinu's sister. She spoke Lashon Hara, she spoke evil tongue, a bad mouth, brought a bad decree, whatever, the bad language, whatever, so have you would say it in English, on her brother. She defamed her brother, that's how he's called it, right? Defamed. And Hashem got very upset with her. What happened over there with the story? At the time, our sages teach us that the 70 elders were picked to go into their position. All of the, Miriam was sitting over there and she saw all the 70 elders. This elder doesn't mean old, it means people who are very wise. They were picked to get to high levels of stature. On the day that they were elected to be the 70 elders, Miriam was over there and she cried out. Well, how amazing. You can imagine how the wives feel right now. Their husbands got to the place now where they reached a high position now, Ruach HaKodesh. Because imagine now, to lead Jewish people, a person needs B'yata D'Shmaya. You need help, divinely intervention. So when the 70 elders got picked to that position to be the part of the elders, which means that they're the ones who are going to answer the questions for the Jewish nation, that means that at a certain level, they got a level of Ruach HaKodesh. They got a level of divinely intervention, that Hashem was able to speak to them. That's what the Mishnah Perkei Avot says. Tistalek min hasafek, tistalek harav, tistalek min hasafek. Make for yourself a rabbi and run away from doubt. Wait a minute, the rabbi is Hashem? No. But Hashem makes him his shaliach, he makes him his messenger, and when you come to him, the words of Hashem are speaking through him. We actually see this with who? With Rivka Imenu. When she became pregnant, she felt her stomach. One time she was walking by the shul, the Bet Midrash, the learning, and the baby was kicking. And then she walked by the church and the baby was kicking. Okay, there was no church then, but you know what I mean. She walked by with Azara and also the baby was kicking. And she didn't know what's going on. So it says the Torah, she went to go inquire the word of Hashem. Rashi on the spot says, where did she go? She went to Shiva Hashem Ve'ever. She went to the sages of the time and she asked them. And from there our sages teach us that when a person goes to speak to the rabbi, he's asking the Hashem. He's coming and asking what Hashem wants him to do. And Hashem makes this rabbi his shaliach, makes him his messenger to answer him the right thing. Therefore Miriam is saying, oh, how happy their wives must be. They just reached a high level. Ruach HaKodesh, they just got to this highest level now where Hashem is able to speak to these men. Imagine now, a woman goes to graduation, law school, or their doctor school, when people get their doctorate, whatever it is, and all the wives are sitting over there. How happy are they going to feel when their husbands are graduating now and all of them are coming down to become lawyers and become doctors and so on and so forth? So Miriam says, what a greater position in the whole entire world, to just be happy. Says Rashi on the spot, who was sitting next to her? Tzipora. Who's Tzipora? Moshe Rabbeinu's wife. She was sitting next to Miriam, and she says, you would think so, right? But in truth, it's actually exactly the opposite. They're actually not going to be happy at all. Why? Where are you coming from with that, says Miriam to Tzipora? Because now that they got elected to this position, their husbands are going to separate from them. Miriam, says the Midrash, what do you mean the husbands are going to separate from them? I don't understand. And from there she understood that Moshe Rabbeinu separated from his wife. So the Midrash tells us, Midrash Lekach Tov tells us that Miriam decided she's going to go take the matter into her own hand. She's going to go find Aaron, her brother, and who surely would agree with her, and they would try to get Moshe Rabbeinu to go back to his wife. They reasoned that it was wrong. Why? What did they say? Me and you, Miriam was a prophetess, and Aaron was a prophet, and our forefathers were also a prophet, and none of them separated from their wives. All of a sudden Moshe Rabbeinu comes with a new kav, with a new something we've never seen in the history, separating from his wife. Comes Miriam, and the Midrash relates, she found Aaron where? In front of the entrance of the Oil Moed. She found him in the front of the entrance of the heavenly chambers with Moshe Rabbeinu. And in front of Moshe, says the Midrash, in front of Moshe, Sifri says, he was standing there and Aaron was standing there. She starts talking about Moshe in front of him. And he tells her brother, you heard that Moshe, our brother, is separated from his wife? We're not prophets. We don't speak to God. We have also mitzvah pirah v'iriyah. Everyone in the world has a mitzvah of pirah v'iriyah, to bring children to the world. Why did he separate from his wife? Right in front of Moshe Rabbeinu. The Rambam, in Ilchot Sarat, he says That why wasn't Miriam concerned to speak in front of Moshe Rabbeinu? I imagine now you want to talk bad about a person, he's standing right next to you. Imagine you come and talk bad about a person, he's standing right next to you. Oh yeah, you know that guy, what I mentioned, you know Ishmael? Terrible guy. Hello, I'm standing right here. Moshe Rabbeinu was standing right there, Miriam is talking about him. And the Rambam says she wasn't concerned. You know why? Because everything she did when she spoke about her brother was al-matara tova. She had a good intention. She was really trying to do something good. And therefore she didn't care that he hears. Because what is the whole intention? To help him. I'm happy that you're here because I also want you to hear. That's what the Rambam says. However, she comes now and she says what she says. And right away the Torah is Ma'id, testifies that Moshe Rabbeinu was the most humble person to ever live. Why? Says the Midrash. Because he's standing there as his older brother and sister are talking bad about him. And he has what to answer them and he doesn't answer them. He could have answered them and gave him an answer. Wait a minute. Matan Torah, before Hashem gave us the Torah, didn't he say 3 days the man should separate from his wife, so that way she'd be pure? So we should have 3 days of purity, so that way he can get the Torah. I talk to Hashem 24/7. I need to be pure 24/7. However, Moshe Rabbeinu didn't answer them. And then this, the Torah says, Ish Moshe, Anav Mikol Adam, that Moshe Rabbeinu was the most humble person to ever live. So we see, according to what our sages teach us, there's an essence of humility in being quiet. What does that mean? One person asked me, if a person comes to you and talks bad about you in front of your face, and you don't answer them, that's humility? Or that's being a sucker? Huh? So what is your first thought goes to? If this guy's talking bad about me and I have what to answer him and I'm right and he's wrong, and I don't answer, I'm a sucker. That's what your head would tell you in the first place, right? However, we see the Torah tells us when a person is speaking bad about you, don't even listen. You know why? Says the Rambam, that Moshe Rabbeinu didn't even care about what they were saying. Meaning, they're talking about me. Moshe Rabbeinu was so humble that, okay, so who am I? What am I? At the end of the day, our sages teach us that every anger in the world stems from, if you think about it, it makes a lot of sense. Every anger in the world stems from ego. How did you say that to me? How did you say that about me? How did you do that to me? It's always about me. Anytime a person gets angry, it's about me. Moshe Rabbeinu didn't get angry. Why? Because there is no me. Mani machayai. Who am I? So you talk bad about me? Okay, no. So what did I lose? And ever, in the humility also comes another side, which also comes in a nice way, is confidence in a way. What does it basically mean? When a person knows that everything comes from Hashem and nothing is his own, right? When a person comes to speak about you, there's no reason for you to feel bad. Right? One person told me the other day, there was a certain person who made a comment about me. She told her husband, something about me as a father. Maybe I'm not the best father, so on and so forth. The next day, the husband called me. He's like, what? I'm like, what are you doing? Can I call you back? I'm picking up my daughter right now from playgroup. He called me back 30 minutes later. I'm making her a bottle now. 1 minute, my daughter's coming in now, my other daughter. My son's coming in now. Give me a second. And for 4 hours, every time he's calling me, I'm with the kids. So he started laughing. He said, my wife yesterday told me, today I see what's the real emet. He goes, you want me to go tell her something? I said, don't tell her nothing. He says, why? I said, because what do I care? She says that I'm a bad father. What does it meant to do with me? I know the emet. Hashem knows who I am. My wife knows who I am. I said, what do I care what you say about me? Adif. So talk. But I know I do my part. Therefore Moshe Rabbeinu says, I know that I'm right. I know that what I'm doing is Ratzon Hashem, it's what Hashem wants from me. And therefore if you're going to say, okay, I don't have to say anything. And who defends Moshe Rabbeinu? Moshe doesn't defend himself. Who defends him? Hashem himself. Which basically means if someone talks bad about you and you choose not to say anything, who's going to come and defend you? Hashem. And what happens that night? Says Rashi on the spot. That night, Hashem calls out to all three of them and brings them to Oil Moed. It happens to be who's the only one of the three who is pure? Moshe Rabbeinu. However, Miriam and Aaron were impure, and they woke up and they're screaming, water, I need to go dip in the mikveh, I need to become pure. And then they understood, you know why Hashem said Moshe Rabbeinu separated from his wife? Because he always had to be pure, because he never knew when Hashem would talk to him. However, us, the only time we talk to Hashem is when we were ready, when we purified ourselves. However, Moshe Rabbeinu has to be ready 24/7 to speak to Hashem. And that's why Hashem says, Pe el pe edaber bo. I speak to him mouth to mouth. Every other prophet in the world is not like Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu was on the highest level. And Hashem got angry with them, says the Rambam. And what was her punishment for Miriam? And according to the Chizkuni, also Aaron, they both got tzaraat. However, the Farshim explained that Aaron got tzaraat only for a short period of time. And then it went away. Why? Because Aaron loved his sister so much that when he saw her suffering, it was suffering for him as well. And therefore, he didn't have to go through the whole period. Miriam was thrown out of the camp for 7 days. What's the process for a person who has sarat, has leprosy? They sent him out of the camp for 7 days. Miriam is 7 days outside of the camp, and the whole entire Jewish nation is sitting down waiting for her. Says the Gemara Sotah, midah keneged midah, measure for measure. Because Miriam waited for her brother when the mother put him in the basket, and she waited to see what's going to happen with him, Hashem also gave her back the same reward. And they waited for her 7 days. How long did Miriam wait? 1 hour, according to many opinions, 1 hour. How long did they wait for her? 7 days. It seems to equal. 1 hour for 7 days seems to equal. Anyone over here want to tell me that 1 hour and 7 days are equal? What's going on over here? Chazal teach us that when Hashem pays back for good, midah v'neged midah, it's 500 times. Tosfot tells us Miriam really only waited 20 minutes. Take 20 minutes, multiply by 500, what do you have? 10,000 minutes. You do 10,000 minutes, it's exactly a little bit more than 7 days. That exactly Hashem paid her back, midah keneged midah. Which basically means when a person does something good in the world, Hashem pays them back 500 times the amount. You went and did something good with your friend, you helped them out, Hashem pays you back 500 times the amount. Someone called you right now, I need a little help right now, no problem, can you lend me $100? Guess what? Multiply that by 500, that's what you're going to get back. Midah keneged midah. Why? That means that every good thing a person does, Hashem pays them back 500-fold. And right now everyone's trying to go giving money. Now. That's the case. Who needs $1 million? Move hours away. Okay? But midah keneged midah, they waited for 7 days. Wait a minute, the Farshim asked a question. It's a present or it's a punishment? 7 days, the whole nation is sitting over there waiting to move and like, we can't go anywhere. Why can't we go? Oh, because Miriam is sitting outside the camp. Why is she sitting outside the camp? Oh, she spoke Lashon Hara, she spoke bad about her brother. So the whole 7 days, what everyone talking about? Miriam. And now she spoke Lashon Hara about him. It's a present? It's a punishment, if anything. And every single day, we have one of the zichronot, one of the memories that a person has to have is when Miriam spoke about her brother. So how is that a present? The whole should be a punishment. It's not a present. So on this, I heard a beautiful story from Rav Aaron Pessin. Rav Aaron Pessin. He says that in the times of the Ritvaz lived about 100 years ago in Tzfat. In his time, the famous story, there was a butcher who was a famous butcher in the city of Tzfat. And there was a doctor, a famous doctor, and he came this day to go buy meat from the butcher. When he came to the store, right away the butcher told him, look, sorry, sir, I can't take you right now, come back in an hour, and close the store. The doctor was sitting there infuriated, angry for an hour, what's going on, pacing back and forth. Finally, the man came back. He told him, I don't understand you, where are you going? Your parnasah is waiting for you over here, your money's waiting over here, you have customers waiting to pay you, and you're running off, where did you go? And the guy told him, I went to go pray Mincha Arvit, and in between Mincha Arvit, a little bit of class, a little shiur, daf yomi. And so, are you crazy? You have your money waiting for you over here in the store. The guy tells him, look, you're right, but I also have to invest in the next one. I can only invest over here. The doctor starts laughing. He says, you really believe in the next life? You know what? Let's make a deal. I'll sell you my Olam Haba. I'll sell you my next life. Okay, you interested? The guy tells him, if you have a good deal, why not? I'll buy it. How much? He tells him 1 ruble. 1 ruble? Oh, 1 ruble is a great deal. Yalla, mazal. He signs a deal with him. He starts doing mazalitos over there. 100 years ago, they were doing mazalitos also. Okay? Yalla, parak is yours, walak is mine. Everything's good. Sold it to him. Doctor went away with his ruble. The shochet, the butcher came out with his Olam Haba for this thing. A few years later, an older lady comes into the store. She comes to the butcher, she tells him, have you ever heard of a doctor with the name so-and-so? So the butcher says, no, I never heard of him. She goes, the famous doctor from this neighborhood, he was very famous, everyone knew him. No, I have no idea what you're talking about. The woman right away says, I knew it was all a lie. What was a lie? What lie? She goes, that doctor was my husband, and he passed away a week ago, and every night since then I'm having a dream that he's sitting over there in the heavenly court, and they want to put him in an extra warm place. And he's telling them, look, wait a minute, I did some good deeds. I did some good things in my life. They told him, wait, we cannot give it to you. You sold it to the butcher. And he's telling me to come to you and buy back what he sold you. He's Olam Haba. He's got to come up. The butcher says, yeah, no, that's true. That happened. That was me. She goes, oh, great. So sell it back to me. He goes, yeah, right, you wish. He's like, if I think about it, I'm doing my calculations correctly. My Olam Haba, what I accumulated, and what he accumulated, I'm waiting for a big package in Olam Haba. I'm not trying to get a deal. The one says, please, come on, my husband, so on and so forth. The guy tells him, look, Rabbi Akiva, the Gemara says, Chayecha Kodmim, your life is first. I need to do what's good for me. She goes, that's the case. I'm going to take you to Beit Din. I'm going to sue you in Jewish court. She takes him to Beit Din. Who is the Av Beit Din? This rabbi. And he sits now and now, he hears the two sides of the story. Because every time we have Jewish judgment in anything in life, two sides of the story. By the way, you should know, halakha l'maaseh, that anytime someone tells you a story, you cannot believe him unless the other party is there. My husband is like this, my husband is like that, my husband like that. One time, Rabbi Gal Cohen said a woman came to him. She told him that her husband was abusing her. He was beating her. Much the worst criminal you could possibly imagine. So he said, okay, you know what, if that's the case, bring your husband to me. Let's try and figure out what's going on over here. The rabbi is expecting someone's going to come into the door, gangster, with the slick back, Jeff from here until Zimbabwe. You know what I'm talking about? Buffed up with the muscles from here to Shamayim. All of a sudden, who walks into the place? A tiny little religious guy in a white shirt, skin and bones. Walks into the room. Shalom Aleichem, Kvod Harav, Shalom Aleichem, Kvod Harav. He looks at the wife, he says, something is not adding up over here, something is not adding up. In the end, what did he find out? That she was the one beating him. She was the one beating him. And I might say, you see, you can never believe a story when you only hear one side of the story. So anytime someone comes to tell you something, you cannot believe. Hey, if the other party is not here, I cannot hear anything you're telling me. Because there's always three truths to every story. This side's truth, and the real truth. And there's no such a thing as the real truth. It's your truth, his truth, and the real truth. You have to hear both sides. Okay? So he calls the woman, he calls the butcher, and he hears both sides of the story. Now you can imagine everyone in the town heard about this case, what's going on. Everyone in the town came to the court. And they're sitting over there and they're waiting for the rabbi to give a judgment. He hears both sides. He goes to the room and says, okay, I'm going to come back, give me an hour. We're going to convene, me and the three Dayanim, we're going to convene, we're going to come back in an hour. The rabbi comes back after 1 hour. He says, okay, we have a psak, we have the law. We have what we're going to do in this case. We have a judgment. He comes down and he says, first things first, nobody in the world can sell their olam haba. It's not possible for a person to sell their olam haba, the portion of the world to come. Impossible. Because why? Because every mitzvah a person does, like we learned about last week, ba'alotecha, every mitzvah you do elevate your soul, and it's individualized to your soul, and therefore you cannot sell it. So the sale is therefore null and void. Everyone's sitting there, wow. Second thing he says is, wait, we're not done. However, there's a Gemara Masechet Sanhedrin that says, Kol Yisrael Yishem Chelek Olam Haba. Every Jewish person in the world has a portion of the world to come. But if you continue in the Gemara, it says, Ve'elu en lehem chelek olam haba. These people don't have a portion of the world to come. And one of them is a person who doesn't believe in Olam Haba, doesn't believe in Tchiat Meitim, doesn't believe in Olam Haba. He has no portion. So therefore he says, and therefore this doctor who didn't believe has no portion of the world to come. Wow, everyone's sitting over there going crazy. He goes, wait, I'm not done. We're sitting over there, it's like a roller coaster. Up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. What's going to be with this doctor? He goes, however, every person who came to the room today and heard this story, and the immense chizuk that came from this story, and the kiddush Hashem and the sanctification of God's name that came from this moment right now, is all in the doctor's merit, and for that, he's going to get Olam Haba. Comes the butcher and screams, wait a minute, I also was involved. Hey, where's my portion? He goes, don't worry, we're also going to get a piece of it. You're also going to get a piece of the action. But now we understand. Everything that happened with Miriam, and the fact that it was so publicized, and the fact that we memorize every single day, it's to her merit. You know why it's to her merit? Because all of the sanctification of God's name that came out of it. This that we know the laws of Lashon Hara, that we shouldn't speak bad on another person. This that we try to be careful with it. This that we understand the ramifications of it, how severe it is all on whose merit? Miriam. It's all on Miriam's merit. And why did Hashem give her good? Meaning, she did something wrong. Why did Hashem give her a reward? Aside from the fact that Midrash relates that she came back and she was like new again, beautiful and whatever, it's beside the point. Why did Hashem? Because what was her real intention? She didn't have a bad intention. Ultimate intention was good. But even though the outcome was not good, Hashem says, okay, because it was Miriam, I'm going to give her a reward. Even through the punishment, I'm going to give her the reward. Now we understand, coming in this week's parasha, Shelach lecha. The Jewish nation were afraid. Hashem just took them out of Egypt. They're in the Midbar, they're in the wilderness. And they don't know where they're going. They have no idea where they're going. And Hashem says, hey, I'm going to take you guys to a land that's good. Eretz Zavad Halav Udvash. I'm going to take you to a good land. And wait a minute. If I don't see it, I don't believe it. Huh? So they said we have to send in spies to see what's really going on with this land. They were afraid. And they appointed, every tribe appointed the greatest among them to be the spy. Every one of them were tzaddikim, they were listed in order. We'll go to that in a minute. And they appointed everyone to each tribe to go into Eretz Yisrael. I'm going to tell you a few things over here that Mamash Abi is saying. One of them is a knock you off your seat. If you pay attention, you're with me. Every single one of them was greater than the next. 12 of them. 12 of them, the greatest of the generation. Hashem tells Moshe Rabbeinu, Shelach lecha. What is Shelach lecha? Send for you. Hashem says, I know what I'm sending you is good. If you don't believe that and you want to send, you send. You know why? Says the Midrash, because he saw that what was going to come out of it was going to be no good. And Hashem says, I don't want any portion in the world. I don't want no portion. I don't want my name to be involved with this. And therefore, if you want to send on your own. And the Meraglim come and they go. Listen to this. How are they listed? First things first, Shevet, Reuven, then Shimon, then Yehuda, which was Caleb ben Yefuneh, then Issachar, then Ephraim with Joshua ben Nun. Hoshua ben Nun. And Hashem changed his name to Yehoshua ben Nun. Why? Who were the only 2 out of 12? 2 out of 12 were the only ones who went into Eretz Yisrael and came back with a good account. 2 out of 12. Who were they? Caleb ben Yefuneh and Yoshua ben Nun. And why did Yoshua ben Nun have the ability to pass this test? At first his name was Hoshua ben Nun. And Moshe gave him an extra yud, Yehoshua ben Nun. Why? Because he knew the test was going to be unbearable. He added him an extra letter so that way he'd have God's name in his name. And therefore he was able to pass the test. So Yeshua only passed because Moshe gave him an extra letter to his name. And Caleb ben Yefuneh, why did he pass? Because he went to go pray B'kivat Tzadikim, in the graveside of the righteous people. So that means that both of these people only passed because they had a special merit. However, the other 10 didn't pass. And who was the greatest among them? Was it Caleb ben Yefuneh? Was it Yoshua ben Nun? You would think the ones who passed were the greatest ones. Which one is Caleb ben Yefuneh? 3rd. Which one is Yoshua ben Nun? 5th. That means on top of them there's another 2, and on top of him another 3. And even still, they're the only ones who passed. You ask yourself a question. The greatest people in the Jewish nation, they cannot pass a simple test to go into Israel and not give a bad account. To go into the land of Hashem and not give a bad account. They come back and they didn't lie. However, the Midrash tells us that as soon as they left, and also the Zohar brings this down, as soon as they left, they already plotted in their heart, we're coming back with a bad account. Before they even went into Israel, they already told themselves, we're coming back with a bad account. We're not telling them anything good. Why? Because the Zohar, they reasoned in their mind that when we're going to go into Israel, our positions are going to be recalculated, and we're going to lose our positions. And therefore, it's better we stay in the desert, it's better we stay in the Midbar, than for us to lose our positions. And what happened? Before they even went, already they knew they were coming with a bad account, and they already came back with a bad account. Yoshua ben Nun, Caleb ben Yefuneh, the only 2 were able to pass. The only 2 were able to pass. How did they fall? How do you get the greatest people in the whole entire world? Says the Mishnah B'kei Avot. 3 things take a person out of this world. What are they? Kina, ta'avot, ve'kavod. Jealousy, desires, and honor. These 3 take a person out of this world. Therefore, you know how they fell? Because they wanted honor. They said, look, wait a minute, we can't lose our position. And therefore they fell. And that's why they were punished, right? The first words, the first Rashi in the parasha. First Rashi in the parasha says, Ve'lama Torah, why did the Torah juxtapose Miriam to the Meraglim, to the spies? Shelo kiblu musar. That they didn't learn from Miriam. That Miriam spoke bad about her brother. She got sarat that she was outside the camp for 7 days. They should have learned not to speak Lashon Hara in the land. They should have learned from her. Musar. They should have learned Musar. One of the first times you see in the Rishonim the word Musar come up in the Torah. You ever saw Rashi with the word Musar? Pitom Musar. Shelo kibu Musar. They didn't listen to her. They didn't get introspection. They didn't take away what they're supposed to take from Miriam. Then Miriam spoke and she got punished. 2 different points, and we're going to get back to what we really want to say. The Gabe Lashon Hara, in regards to speaking Lashon Hara, is there Isur? Are you not allowed to speak about a rock, a chair? If I sit down on a chair and say, wow, this chair really is terrible, it's very wobbly, the legs are very loose, and it has that, bring a coaster over here. Huh? I talk bad about the chair. It's mutar or asur? Comes now the Chafetz Chaim, and he says, you know why it was asur for them? Because the Meraglim, what did they speak about? The spies, they spoke about Etzim Vavanim. They spoke about the land. They didn't speak about people. Because you know why they were punished? Because the item of a person is connected to him. What does that mean? When they spoke bad about Eretz Yisrael, they were speaking bad about Hashem. If Hashem's land is no good, then Hashem, by extension, is no good. For example, one woman came to the rabbi and said, Rabbi, my husband hates me. He said, what do you mean he hates you? He hates me. How does he hate you? Bring him over here, bring him. The rabbi comes to them, how do you hate your wife? He's a hater. I love her. She's the best wife in the world. All I said was her food was no good. I just told her the dish wasn't good. It was good. And the rabbi told him, your wife and the dish, chadi. You talk bad about the dish, you're talking bad about your wife. Chafetz Chaim says, when you talk bad about a chefetz, you talk bad about the item, you talk bad about the owner. Therefore, he says, it's asur. Mamash is right. You cannot go to a restaurant and say, this place sucks. This restaurant is terrible. Can't. Suda right according to Chafetz Chaim. However, the Yerim says that no, it's nothing to do with the person. It has to do, you cannot speak bad about a chair. Why? He says because, famishum midot mushchatot. Because it causes you to have bad character traits. It causes you to be a bad person. When you speak bad about a chair, it causes you to be a bad person. Because if you're going to speak bad about a chair, the more you're going to speak bad about your friend. So he says because of that, that's what the Isur is. We see how Hashem is so meticulous with a person. How he's supposed to be better. Why do we cover the challah on Shabbat? So that the bread should not become embarrassed from the wine. That we say gefen before the bread. Let me ask you, the bread has feelings? The bread has feelings? This chair right now has feelings? I'm sorry, this chair over here has feelings. Anyone tell me this chair has feelings? This tent has feelings. כל היום בכולל, דופק לו סתירות, כל היום. מסכן השטנדר, if he has feelings, then מסכן, כל היום דופקים לו סתירות. He goes, all day they're slapping him, he goes לעולם הבא, he says, what did I do? מסכנים, כל היום זוכים לי סתירות. All day I'm getting slapped over here, מה עשיתי? The stand has feelings. The chair has feelings. The bread has feelings. You have to cover the bread before you do the wine. Why? Oh, not to embarrass the bread. Not to embarrass the bread. I'm sorry if I embarrassed you. What is it? What is Chalal teaching us? That you should learn from the bread. If you cannot embarrass the bread, how much more so you should embarrass your friend? We all know the famous story. The husband comes home Shabbat night from shul. He's expecting the table to be set. He comes home, he starts screaming at his wife, what is this? I usually come home, I want the table to be set. This is not how it should be. Every week when I come over here, the malachim, they follow the person home from shul, and if the shalom is not ready, then the malachim bless the next week. Also going to be like this. And he starts screaming at his wife. And then he sits down and his wife is setting the table. And his son who came to him with shul, sitting down with his father, and he asks his, Abba, why do we cover the challah? He says, oh, what do you mean? Halakha, we don't want to embarrass the challah because we're making a geffen. So the son tells the father, so it's okay to not, so we cannot embarrass the halal, but to embarrass Ima is a mutar. To embarrass my mother is okay. The halal you don't want to embarrass, but my mom you want to embarrass. And therefore we understand now what Rashi was telling us. How did you not learn Musar? How did you not learn from Miriam? She spoke Lashon Hara on a person. And then you came and you spoke on Etzim and Levanim. You spoke about Eretz Yisrael, and by extension you spoke bad about Hashem. And therefore, boom, naflu. Now what's the story here? Hashem comes back and tells them, they failed the test except for two. Hashem says this whole entire generation from the age of 20 to 60 is not going to Eretz Yisrael. Every single one of you, 40 years. You know, how many days were the spies in Eretz Yisrael? 40 days. There were 40 days that were there. Hashem punishes them, Yom Keneged Shana. For every day, a year. 40 years. Now, if you think about it, how did they tour the whole entire land? This is a little bit of a side note, but how did they go and tour the whole entire land? The Gemara Masechet Megillah tells us that Eretz Yisrael is 400 by 400 parsa, 400 parsa by 400 parsa. And the Gemara Masechet Pesachim tells us that the average person walks 10 in a day. So that means it would take them 40 days to only walk one way. What about the other way? It should have been 80 days. So the Midrash tells us, Rashi brings it over there, Tanchuma, that Hashem made him a shortening of the way because he didn't want to punish them so much. He said only 40 days. Now what's significant about the number 40? Moshe Rabbeinu goes up to Har Sinai to get forgiveness for the Jewish nation. How many days? 40 days. We do Selichot how many days? 40 days. A baby begins to form and be nikar and to be noticeable how many days? 40 days. Parashat Yevamot says under 40 days a baby is considered to be Mai Ba'alma. Is that considered to be a fully formed embryo, yeah? But at 41 days, it's already considered to be nikar. It's supposed to be already, we can see its surah. We can already see its appearance. And therefore, halakha l'maaseh, 41, 40, so on and so forth. How every halakha that comes out, ramification. So we see Chazal tells us that 40 days, 40 is a big number. And specifically 40 years. And every single one of the generation passed away. Wait a minute. Who sinned? These people didn't do anything. We sat over here, we sent these people, they sinned. What does it have to do with us? Why do we get punished? And if it was because of them, Then there was 2 who passed. So therefore, Yehuda and Ephraim, the 2 tribes, should be okay. What happened over here? They should be good. They passed. Well, we're good. Hey, excuse me, Yeshua passed and Caleb passed. I'm good. My whole tribe should be able to go into Israel. Hashem says, all of you are not going in. Every single one of you are not going in. What do we do? The Gemara says, silence is like acceptance. But I want to say a bigger Kiddush. If you don't like it, then take it up with me, because this is my Kiddush. We have a proof from over here that Hashem made a shorter way for them because he knew that they were going to falter. So Hashem already knew beforehand. The Midrash will tell us that Hashem knew they were going to falter beforehand. Shach lecha. And Hashem, l'chora, knew that this nation couldn't go into Eretz Yisrael. This nation that came out of Egypt was not going to go into Eretz Yisrael. Why is that? Because once they were over Avodah Zarah, because they themselves worked idol worship, they can never get to the place where they themselves would have enough emunah and bitachon. And what do we learn in Parashat Behar? That Hashem juxtaposed Shemitah to Har Sinai v'daber Hashem el Moshe Behar Sinai lemor. That Hashem spoke to Moshe Rabbeinu Behar Sinai to teach him what? 6 years you should work the land, and the 7th year you should rest. That the Shemitah, says Rashi on the spot, that since Shemitah was taught by all of its details and its laws, so to all the mitzvot were taught at Har Sinai. The Or Chaim says, wait a minute, I don't understand. Why specifically Shemitah? Right, and he says, because the land of Eretz Yisrael, the land that Hashem promised us, that everyone is asking this question right now with everything going on in Iran, and that's what everyone's asking me this week, and that's why I tailored this to this point. The land of Eretz Yisrael, says the Or Chaim, is contingent on what? The 613 mitzvot. If we keep them, then we keep the land. And if we don't, then we don't have the promise, and therefore other nations of the world have claim. When they don't have claim, when we keep the mitzvot. As soon as we start to keep the mitzvot, then they have claim to our land. One guy's going to come and scream out to you, what do you mean? Hello, this, that, tachon. But it's very easy to answer him. The Chazon Ish passed away in 1953. How many years is that? 70 plus years. 1953, the Chazon Ish passed away. 72 years. And the Chazon Ish promised that in Bnei Brak, a city in Eretz Yisrael, 72 years, there will never fall a missile. 72 years, not one missile ever fell in Bnei Brak. It was before the Iron Dome, before anything. 72 years until today, there has never fell a missile in Bnei Brak. There's been on the outskirts of Bnei Brak, on the city surrounding it, but Bnei Brak itself, never. One promise 72 years ago. Why? Says the Chazon Ish, because they closed the city down for Shabbat and they learned Torah in the city. And because they have these 2 things, they're never going to have a missile phone. 72 years. 72 years, Habibi. 72 years before the Iron Dome, before anything. Not one missile fell down in Bnei Brak. Tel Aviv next door, many. They one time came to Rav Chaim. And I told them, Rabbi, what happened to the promise of Chazon Ish of a missile that fell in Bnei Brak? He says, go check it. Kanireh it's not in Bnei Brak. And they went and they checked it and it was really right outside of the outskirts of Bnei Brak. Mamash, under kaseh. When tzaddik is gozer, when Hashem, when Chazon Ish says something, it's over. So you answer them, go, explain to me now. The ball's in your court. You have a problem? Explain to me, Bnei Brak. Explain to me how not one, 72 years, not one missile fell. Not one missile fell. And you know where they're targeting the most? Tel Aviv. All day they're targeting Tel Aviv. And where's Bnei Brak? Right next to Tel Aviv. Ramat Gan got hit, Tel Aviv got hit, this Kiryat, all of them got hit. But just one little tiny square, Bnei Brak didn't get hit. How do you explain it? How do you explain it? And therefore, you want to hear what I want to say. You know why the nation of Israel didn't get into that nation that came out of Egypt? Because they didn't have the proper emunah and bitachon in Hashem. Because they didn't really believe in Hashem. And therefore, if they would have believed, they would have been able to get in. And therefore, the land of Eretz Yisrael is Talui al-emunah. It's Talui on faith in Hashem for us to understand that if us want this land, we want to be able to live in this world, we have to have faith in Hashem. And if not, then we're going to see what's going to happen. We have to emunah in Hashem. We must have emunah in Hashem. But emunah can take you very far. I'll finish with this story. Avi Yitzhak Dayan says over. It's a real story that happened not too long ago in Williamsburg. It's this beautiful story. A guy with 10 children in Eretz Yisrael wanted to marry off his daughter. But unfortunately, a lot of people in Eretz Yisrael, they don't make a lot of money. So what did he do? He didn't have money to be able to marry his daughter. So he decided, I'm going to go to New York and I'm going to collect money for my daughter's wedding. And he starts going around. And he goes to Williamsburg. Williamsburg. All the Hasidim Shaman. Yeah? He goes to the Hasidim, but this man took upon himself a Kabbalah. He took upon himself a promise to never collect in shul. If I collect only outside the shul, I'm never going to ask in shul. And for sure not in the tefillah. That morning he goes to tefillah, And all of a sudden, he's sitting down and he's praying, and he's realizing that the guy sitting next to him, a lot of commotion, a lot of noise. And he's realizing, what's going on? 20 people came up to this guy. Oh, shalom uvracha, you have some money, donation. Every single one of them, the guy pulls out $200 for you, 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 $200 for you. Oprah Winfrey, everybody gets a toast of him. Get $200. If you look cool, I'm $200. And the guy sitting over there and says, I want to ask him also, but I took upon myself a Kabbalah. I can't speak in shul. I cannot ask in shul. And he didn't ask. It was hurting him, but he said, you know what, I took upon myself a promise, I'm not going to break it. The guy gets up. What does he realize? All of a sudden, he sees the iPhone sitting next to him vibrating. He realizes that the phone is not no simple phone. It's not a regular iPhone. It's top of the line iPhone, 16 Pro Max. That's a serious iPhone, okay? Marim the iPhone, but there's no way to know who it is. He picks up the phone, he calls back the last number. Happens to be who is it? This gvir that was sitting next to him, this very rich man was sitting next to him. He answers the phone. He says, I found this phone in the shul. Oh, thank you. I'm going to come pick it up now. I don't know what car you can imagine. A beautiful black car, a private driver pulls up. The back window opens up with a thing. Yeah? The guy says, oh, thank you so much for the phone. He goes, no, thank you. The guy doesn't really speak so much English. He's speaking to him in Hebrew. So he tells him, what are you doing here? Kanirei from Eretz Israel, came from the land of Israel. What are you doing over here? He says, no, I happen to be. My daughter is getting married, and I came to collect. So the man tells him, wait, weren't you sitting next to me in shul? He goes, yeah. How come you didn't ask me? You were sitting right next to me in shul. You should have asked me over there. He says, no, I took upon myself a promise. I don't collect ever in shul. Huh? He heard that, took out his checkbook, wrote the guy a check, $200,000. Kach, matana from me to you, mazal tov. If you would have asked in shul, $200. If you would have asked outside the shul, he would have with faith in Hashem, ina magia, boom, elif pa'amim, huh? $200,000. That's it, everything is done. Siyamnu. And it's only one of many stories. I heard many stories like this you cannot even imagine. When a person goes with faith in Hashem, he says, I'm not going to compromise my integrity. I'm not going to compromise my faith. I'm not going to compromise the thing I did for Hashem. Hashem says, you're never going to lose out. You're never going to lose out. And therefore, the Meraglim shouldn't have went into Eretz Israel. And we shouldn't have asked them to. We should have had faith. Hashem says, I'm sending you somewhere. It's good. Just know that it's good. If I tell you I'm taking you is good, just know that it's good. And therefore, we take the Midrash. The Midrash says, En davara yored milemala. Nothing bad ever comes down from heaven. And that means no matter which place you are in your life. The Jewish nation went to 42, if I'm not mistaken, 42 masot, 42 different camps from Egypt to Eretz Israel. And so to us in our life. We all have different stages, different places that we go. We have to know that every stage in our life, no matter where it is, Hashem is taking us to the good. And we have to have faith. Hashem, I don't need to see. I believe wholeheartedly the way you're taking me is good, because if I'm going to start asking, that's what and you know what you see? Hashem says, if you really want to go and push, I'll let you go. But ultimately, at the end of the day, what's going to come out of it is going to come out negative for you. If you want it to be good, have faith in me. If the guy would have asked what would have happened, he would have only got $200. Because he waited, he got $200,000. Because he did what's right in Hashem's eyes, he got $200,000. And that's the musar for us. The musar for us is to always have faith in Hashem in everything we do, and to know that when Hashem is taking you, Hashem promised you it's going to be good, believe it, it's going to be good. Even though right now you don't see it, but it's going to be good. You have to believe it, you have to hold on to it, you have to know. And on top of that, everything that's going on right now in Israel, we should know, also the Tovah. Also this is the Tovah. All of it's the Tovah. And Hashem will be matzliach beyadenu. And we'll have success in us, as a Jewish nation, and a chayalim. And we'll all be zocher to bring Mashiach to the kingdom. Rabbi Meinu, Chazak u'Baruch. Rabbi,